Yeah.
Have you watched Game of Thrones?
Yes, of course.
Okay, now I have a
to watch
question.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I haven't watched it. But I've watched clips of it.
Controversial.
Yeah.
Very controversial.
Wait. Before that question, were you happy with the ending?
Ending.
No, we don't talk about the ending.
Mm.
Musical scores. Can anyone make them? Let's talk about them. Hello everyone, welcome to Ready, Set, Show. Now before we start answering the questions, how about we, have some introductions from our wonderful friends.
Hi, I'm Nicole.
I'm Tara.
And I'm Ronaldi.
And I'm your host, Thiva. So for today, we're going to be answering the question I asked at the beginning. Musical scores, can anyone make them? Is it truly something that anyone can do? So to help us answer these questions, of course, none of us here are musical experts. We don't study that field.
Yep.
So we have invited a very special guest. He is one of Singapore's most prolific and versatile film composers. His philosophy is rather simple. To tell stories through music. He is none other than Alex O!
Welcome.
So Alex, thank you so much for joining us for today's podcast. If you could give us a brief description and some of the works that you've done about yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Alex O. I'm a film composer. So that means I compose music for visual media. And some of the works I've done so far is, The Maid, feature films The Maid, Bait, Crew Number 1, and then I think most recently is the TV series Reunion, and This Land Is Mine.
Yes, both very good shows. Alright, so at the start of the video, I asked the question, can anyone make musical scores? So does anyone want to begin by answering this question? It's open to the floor.
Well, I think to make musical scores, you probably need some musical background, like knowing how to read or write scores. But I guess you can kind of learn it online as well.
True.
But it's not really that easy.
So I guess you'll be needing to first learn how to pick up an instrument, learn the instrument, and then see where you can go from there.
Yeah.
And if you really want to make it into a profession, maybe start taking online courses, go for a more sophisticated learning process. Maybe start going to school, I guess, it's one of the biggest things. And yeah, I think that's it's a good starting point. But how would you get into if you really want to make it a profession, right? What are the ways to do it? How would you, let's say I want to become a film composer. I'm fresh out of the industry, but I want to be okay, let's do this, let's start. How do I start making music? Alex, this is a question for you.
Okay. If you want to become a film composer, I would say the first thing is, of course, you need to have a film. So.
Oh yeah, true.
Where do you get the film then? Many resources. I mean, there are many ways to go about that. Of course, you can find if you can find film studies as in students, that's one of the ways. You can get your hands on film. And if not, then you have to go you got to find directors or producers, whereby they will give you a chance to score their film or TV series. So, but I would say that it would be better if you can start with the students themselves. Because I mean, if it's a little bit of a huge responsibility,
Right. Yeah.
And trust,
Yeah. I think
that
trust
the,
is a
the,
very
the
Yeah.
directors and producers will put on you, because they have to make sure that you have to deliver the music according to their
Right.
satisfaction. Yeah.
So I guess it's easier to when working with new students, it's easier for directors who are more experienced to mold them in the way that you want them to produce the music or the film, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to tell them, hey, this is what you do, and then they just produce it afterwards.
Yeah, and also, I mean, with student directors or producers, I mean, they themselves are also learning at the point,
Right.
How to become a better director or producer. And one of the ways is, of course, they have to communicate with composer. So there's a lot more, I would say, trust and a little bit of patience that they
Mhm.
can give to you, because everyone is kind of starting out.
Right, right.
Yeah. So if you were to meet like already established directors and producers, they expect you to have a certain
Certain level of understanding
yes,
and
of
everything.
understanding, and you have to just do it.
Yeah.
Nike just do it.
Like-
Uh, about the film, how about if someone wants to compose, just to compose, not only about film composing, but because, as yourself, you studied piano when you were younger. What was that studying classical music? Did it help you be a better composer, or did it help you to understand the whole composing scene in the music in the film industry?
I mean, generally, of course, studying classical music does help in terms of musical knowledge. You know, like okay, you have a better understanding about music composition.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's about where it stops. You know, so because if you want to do like for film composing, it's a little bit more different because you have an added medium, which is the visual.
Yep.
You know, but if you're just composing music on its own, it's kind of free play. You know, whereby
Got free range to do things.
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
You have more range, and you can do whatever you want. Basically.
It's
yeah.
like a giant playground for you to explore.
Correct. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
So,
Right.
Alex, with composing music, right? Would you say you can learn all of it, or some of it has to be like natural talent?
Wow.
A little bit of both.
Mhm.
Okay, like, I've been through the journey, as well as I had taught some students before.
Mhm.
It's like composing is something whereby, you can hear music in your head. So
Mhm.
whether you play an instrument or not, that gift has to be kind of there. You know,
Okay.
Right.
So, like have met people whereby they can't even play an instrument, but they can hum the tune to you. So, and it's pretty amazing. So when I actually experience that kind of person, it kind of changes my thought,
So it's
whereby
like a gift.
exactly.
So it's okay if you don't know how to play an instrument, as long as you have like that musical, like I guess it's in your head. As long
Mm.
as you have the musical element going on, I think
Correct.
it's still
Mhm.
okay.
Yes, because composing is not something whereby it's like a formula,
Right.
Although, yes, pop music kind of have a certain formula to it.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
agree with that.
Yes, but otherwise, not really. So you have to hear it in your head first
Yeah, yeah.
before it kind of translate it, into reality.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about composing for things other than film? For, let's say, I don't know, musicals or stuff like that.
Yes,
games.
yeah. I thought that. Even to just maybe come up with an album
Mm.
of my own. Like kind of
Oh,
thing, like
interesting.
something whereby, I've because when you compose for films, visual media, you kind of it's kind of a collaborative art, whereby
Mhm.
it's not really my own.
Yep.
It's kind of okay, I collaborate with the director producer, coming up with their vision,
Yeah, yeah.
but using my style.
It's not an individual piece, right? It's not
Correct.
something that you can say is your own per se.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would really like to come up with something of my own.
So can we expect an album soon?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good
When
advice.
are you
That would be
dropping a
nice.
mixtape?
When I've been thinking about it lately. Maybe also because of the pandemic, there's more time or whatever. Previously I just didn't really have the luxury of time, so it's
Yeah.
always a rush.
Yep.
To deadlines and all. Yeah. So and when I know, by the time I finally know, oh, it's like 20 years has passed. I haven't done anything for
Long
myself.
time.
Wow.
So I guess you could say sometime in the near future.
Yes. I
You
would
heard it
say.
here first. Sometime in the near future.
That
I
would
really
be
like
nice.
to come up with something of my own style.
Original piece by Alex. And it's like the cover art
For
and
myself,
everything.
yeah. So it's not really film anymore.
Yeah.
You've moved on from film. Now I'm an independent music creator.
Yeah.
For 20 years, that's a long time for a career, right? That's 20 years doing the same thing without getting bored.
Yeah, you never got stale or anything, any stale moments.
Because every film is different.
Right,
So like it's almost like a new project every time.
Mhm.
So but of course, if the films are kind of in the same genre,
Yeah.
back to back, like for 2 or 3 times, it's like, oh, I'm getting a bit bored.
Yeah.
Like,
Because it's gonna be the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
sounds and
yes,
everything, right?
correct. Like yeah, I think there was 1 or 2 times there was like I have to score like horror and horror and horror.
Oh
Oh.
god.
So it's like after a while, it's like, how much ideas can I have? For
Yeah.
so many of
But
them.
in the industry, are you allowed to like pick and choose what kind of projects you want to do?
Not really. I mean, it's more like an individual choice.
Okay.
Whether you want to accept that project or not.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It depends on the money, I guess.
Yes, that also.
Oh. Do you have any like favorite like movies that you have done so far?
Favorite movies. I mean, I would say the interesting projects.
Oh yeah.
Yes, of course, the first movie, which is The Maid, that's interesting to me. The second one I would say is interesting is it's also unfortunately a horror film as well. I mean, not truly a horror film, but more like monster film.
Like
the shark
thriller.
one, the bed.
Oh yeah,
bed.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
so that's interesting because I finally got to work with an orchestra.
Yep.
Which was not I didn't have the opportunity before or after that.
Mhm.
So and then I would say lately the last feature film I've done called The Fate Keepers.
The
So
Fate
yeah, it's
Keepers.
not even out yet. I finished that like last November. So
Oh, wow.
It's been almost a year.
so I think they are just waiting for
The right time.
the right time. Yeah.
It's actually a really cool name, Fate Keepers.
Yeah.
Fate Keepers.
So you can't give us any spoilers or anything.
Yeah, I mean,
Damn.
well, it kind of have what I always wanted, which is to score like a film with dragons.
Fantasy film.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
kind of along that kind of genre. So, but it's not truly a fantasy film, but it's not bad. Like
Mhm.
I
They
would
got
say that it's one of
elements.
the most. I mean, as the director and producer will put it, the most ambitious movie from Singapore yet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tune into Fate Keepers, guys.
So
Yeah.
as a film composer, you get to watch the whole movie
Yes.
before anybody else watches it.
Yeah,
How
kind
fun
of
is
like that.
that?
Yeah, well, how do you stay put? How do you stay quiet?
Well, I mean, okay, example with the dragons thing, right? I mean, because it's CGI
Mhm.
heavy,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like there were parts where I have to imagine the dragon is not there.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
so it's like, oh,
You're just
imagining.
staring at a blank screen.
Yeah.
There's a dragon flying.
Yeah. So you kind of have to, imagine everything, including the colors of what they would do or how they will fly, things like that. Yeah.
So when they're showing you the works for, I guess, Fate Keepers, right? Do they show you the finished product or it's like before?
It's like work in progress.
Just
Work
like
in
bits and
progress.
pieces of.
Yes, so
Okay.
some kind of completed, some they still need to add stuff.
Yeah, so
over.
it just to give you a rough idea of what it's supposed to sound like.
Correct. Yeah, I
Nice,
mean the
nice,
film
okay.
is supposed to. Yeah.
So it's not the final cut, but it's somewhat of a final cut. You say.
It's the final cut without the CGI.
Oh, okay,
inside,
okay.
So
Yeah.
it's gonna be quite
Oh.
awkward. Yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, trying to imagine there's a dragon there.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're gonna score something, it has
Mm.
to be the final cut.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if
yeah.
not,
Oh yeah.
if not, they keep on changing.
Yeah,
You'll
exactly.
get frustrated
Yeah.
because even if they cut like 1 second, 2 seconds, I mean, when you write music, it's definitely time to
Yeah, yeah,
something.
Mhm.
So if they were
Ah.
to either deduct or add to it, so it's like then your points will be off. Then
The,
it'll
the
be-
musical cues
Mm,
shift.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it doesn't flow that well.
Yes, correct.
I
So
see.
it has to be locked before you kind of think about, okay, I'm going to do it like that, and hit this
Mhm.
point,
Ah, okay,
exactly at this, and then everything will be kind of nicely, done.
Right.
Okay, so you said that you had a dream to compose is it a folklore? Is it or
Folklore. Yeah.
Folklore, yeah,
and fantasy,
folklore.
fantasy
yeah,
films.
fantasy folklore films.
Yeah.
Have you watched Game of Thrones?
Yes, of course.
Okay, now I have a
to watch
question.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
But I've watched clips of it,
Yeah.
and I've watched some of it. Would you change any of the composition in that
Ooh,
season?
Controversial.
Yeah.
Very controversial.
Wait. Before that question, were you happy with the ending?
Ending.
No, we don't talk about the ending.
It feels too rushed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I think it's fine if they allow, it to be like. I mean, the ending episode probably if you spread it over
Yeah,
2
yeah.
or 3.
Allow it to breathe a bit more.
Correct. Yeah. Right now
Okay.
everything is like going so fast, and then and then it just ends,
Mhm.
and it's like
Okay,
Okay.
this is all just our opinion.
Yeah,
Okay, this is not gonna be like
yeah,
some
yeah.
controversial debate. Or
yeah.
anything, right?
Okay, but answering your question.
Yeah.
No. I think Ramin Diwaji.
Oh, yeah,
he
he's
did
amazing.
a great job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, from the moment you hear the theme of
Mhm.
Games of Thrones, you can remember the tune,
Mhm.
you know, and then of course in the episodes, I mean, it's all fantastic. Yeah.
I guess it really
Yeah.
fits very well to each character. Each character has their own different type of sound. Everything that happens on the scene, whether it's a dragon coming or it's
Yeah.
just a quiet moment, it's all
Yes.
very different, very unique to
Correct.
the show.
Yeah.
You should really watch
Okay,
Game
okay.
of Thrones.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I
you're
haven't
doing.
watched it either.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I mean,
I'm
Leave the
uncultured.
studio
I'm
now and go
sorry.
watch
I'm
I mean-
uncultured. I'm sorry.
I mean,
Yeah.
don't worry,
This
you're
is
not
really
alone.
nice, yeah.
I guess you could skip the last season.
Yeah.
because-
Oh, okay.
I
Do
mean,
you,
yeah, sorry. I was one of the last person I think to watch Game of Thrones as well. Like I didn't watch it like for like what few years, and then
Mhm.
finally when I saw when I start watching it, I couldn't stop. So
Yep, yep.
literally I had to catch up like like what 8 seasons. or
Yeah,
something. yeah.
But that
Wow.
happens. Like when you don't like when you feel like you like it so much, like you watch it every day, you waste a lot of time to
Yeah,
watch
right,
it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Every Monday at like 6 o'clock. Oh, I have to go and watch it now.
Yeah.
I can't do anything else.
life revolves
Yeah.
around it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sorry.
Do you have a favorite soundtrack from a movie? I think we all
I
have.
mean, a lot, but I mean, I can't say favorite nowadays because there's just too many.
Mhm.
Okay, so but I'll say that, I mean, like how I was influenced when during my early childhood, I would say that I would like Star Wars, Superman,
Good one,
E.T.,
okay.
like those John Williams kind
Okay,
of
okay.
score because, I mean, it's very thematic. So.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, the
Definitely.
melody line is very strong. So it's like to a child, like, oh, okay, you can kind of hum. the
Easy to
tune.
memorize it. It's
Yeah, and then
memorable.
You put the red cape and then you think that you're Superman, and then you just do the
Bruh.
music, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I think it's for me. I think the most memorable movie soundtrack is the Jurassic one.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh
yeah.
my god. It's always
Wait,
stuck
wait.
in my head.
That's also John Williams.
Yeah. So
Wait, the melody's in my head. It's gone.
Da,
yeah.
da, 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 da.
Copyright.
Okay, sorry.
YouTube may remove that.
Wait.
Yeah, he's not wrong about that.
Yeah, he's very not wrong about that.
So John Williams is your favorite music composer or your most influence?
One of
One of-
yeah, one,
Ah,
I mean,
okay.
one of my.
So I guess next would be like Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer, of course. I mean, Alexander Desplat,
Mhm.
Howard Shaw. I mean, he did a Lord of the Rings. That's
Mhm.
another
Fantastic.
masterpiece.
Do you
And-
guys watch Lord of the Rings?
I didn't.
Yes. If you're about to say no, we're gonna have a problem.
No, that's one of my favorite
Okay,
series.
thank God.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
whoops.
so I mean that's another subject.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the way he scored
Yep,
Lord of the Rings. That's like fantastic. You can
Fantastic.
YouTube that, and a lot of things come up
Yeah,
regarding the
yeah.
music.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like when the scene of when they were traveling and the view was really pretty.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the sound of it is like
It's very surreal. It's like you're experiencing what they're going through.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
almost
that's
as you
same
feel
moment.
like it's from another world, but it's actually in the world.
Yes.
It's so
Mm.
cool.
New Zealand, right,
Oh.
right?
Yes, New Zealand. New
Yes,
Zealand.
New
yeah.
Zealand.
New Zealand's such
Yeah.
a nice place.
Yeah. Then of course, sorry, just to finish up with favorite composers. I mean, like there's also Jerry Goldsmith. I mean, Christopher Young.
Mhm.
Who else? I would say that these are pretty much James Newton Howard. Almost forgot. Yeah. So these are pretty much Bernard Herrmann. Yes, Psycho. If
Yep,
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
yep, yep.
Alfred
Wow.
Hitchcock's. And I mean he
Oh,
did
wow.
a lot of other
That's a throwback. That's
film.
a
I just
old-
remembered it. I was
Yeah,
like,
the sound.
yeah.
zing zing zing.
Yeah,
zing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been working in the field for such a long time, right?
Yeah.
Can you describe a time where any other composer, any other director has disagreed with the work that you've done?
I mean, I wouldn't say disagree with the work that I mean more for the cues, like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean like when I write something and then no, I don't think it works. So I mean, and of course, well, it's kind of I mean it happens. I would say often, but it definitely will happen.
Mhm.
Because sometimes even though you went through the spotting session, like that means you go through every scene,
Yeah.
you know how the music is going to be like,
Mhm.
whether there is or there isn't music. So you still get times where you compose a piece of music and then the director producer, not
Oh.
really.
Is
you
it
know,
really
that kind of thing.
discouraging if they do that?
Yes, it's
Right.
always very pressurizing, especially when I show them like okay, these are the themes, of
Mhm.
whether characters or the place, location, or things like that. So it's like I do get all the jitters, like all the like like the sweats, like when I show it to
Yeah.
them, whether they like it or not, So and of course the cue thing, well, if it doesn't work out, then of course, like I said, it's a collaborative art thing.
Yeah.
And then I would hear from them. I mean, of course, at the end of the day, they make the
The
decision,
decision,
Right,
you know.
right.
Mhm.
So, yeah, and then I'll hear from them. Okay, what went wrong, and then I'll just rectify the thing.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So,
So no one has actually outright said no, redo the whole thing.
I mean, there is.
Oh,
you
there
know,
is.
Yeah, of course. And redo the whole, not whole movie.
Right,
Usually
right, yeah.
there are some hits, and of
Yeah.
course there are some misses.
Yep, yep.
So then we go to the misses, and then okay, what went wrong? Did I get it wrong?
So try and revise it as much as you can.
correct.
But how do you keep yourself motivated when you're told like, oh, this isn't good enough? Is it just the money that's like?
Oh wow.
What's
Oh,
the driving
wow.
factor?
I would say that it's just something like when I started, I want to end it.
Yeah.
Of course doing it the best that I can. And of course the deadline is one of the things that
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of motivates
Yep.
you.
Yeah.
You have
Motivates.
Forces.
I think motivate is not the right word for
Yes,
this.
strongly
Pressurizing.
Yeah,
pressurizing
yeah.
you to finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
how do you like constantly like inspire yourself to continuously write like all this?
I mean, many ways. Of course, inspiration comes when, like during the free time, I would of course listen to
Yeah.
other, scores, things like that. And then it's like almost example, if I listen to Howard Shaw's Lord of the Rings, like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you wish you can write something like that.
Yeah.
So it kind of pushes you as well, So every time you listen to something which is like, I'll definitely listen to something high quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even, Howard Shaw is one of them. Then you have other scores whereby it's kind of experimental.
Yeah.
So it kind of keeps your mind, stimulated.
yeah.
Yes, and then it kind of inspires you. Then of course, simple things like, like when I was in Ireland, I was like going through the streets, and then I was just sitting there looking at someone basking, like feeling the artistic,
The
Yeah,
vibes,
yeah,
right?
the
yeah,
vibes
yeah,
of
yeah.
the place. That kind of, in a way, stimulates, the
Inspiration.
inspiration or
Ooh.
I would say follow up question for that. As actually, I grew up in a not a I would say a musical family. I guess I would say. But a lot of my cousins and a lot of my friends who are musicians, they always say, sometimes or somewhere along the road, you will how do you say this? So musicians fall in love with music, but sometimes you fall out of love
yeah.
from music, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of musicians have experienced this, and I think you have experienced it. How did you conquer that?
It's like you need to take a holiday,
Vacation.
vacation away from like like the downtime.
Mm.
Sometimes if you're in what we call, it's kind of like a burnout.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
burnout.
Yeah, when you just keep on working and working and working
Yeah.
and working. And in my line, it's like it's kind of like that, And after a while, it's like you feel a little bit, I wouldn't say jaded, but just tired.
Yeah.
You know? And then it's like it drains so much from you.
Yeah.
And then after a while, like like you have to kind of replenish yourself,
Mhm,
So you can only kind of give out like what you have, that kind of thing. And then yes, you got to kind of find ways to kind of get yourself back in, but-
Remind your passion. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So you got to kind of like think back. Okay, what kind of inspire you or make you go down this path? In the first place, which is then when you listen to those better music or do things that inspire you, and then you realize, oh, okay, so you really do love and enjoy this. It's just because you are tired.
Yeah, you're just feeling a bit worn out, a bit burnt out.
Yeah.
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 So hey, this is it's a good time to say, I guess it's good to take a vacation. All right, even though it's a pandemic now, I guess. But yeah, if you get the
Yeah.
chance again, please take a vacation.
Go on a
Nobody wants to
It's
get.
staycation.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess now they're giving out the coupons and stuff,
Yeah.
right? Go on a
Correct.
staycation and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before this, we were talking about if the border was opening, where
Yeah.
would we go?
Mhm.
So where do you want to go, Thiva?
Japan. I think
Japan.
it's a very big cultural influence there. I really want to go and
Yeah.
see.
I think
Mm.
Nicole wanted to go to Korea, right?
Yeah, actually Japan also
Oh,
kind of.
Japan.
I've never been there. Then I saw
Lovely.
all those. Ah,
I'll see you on the flight.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Tara, where do you want to go?
Either Korea or Italy.
Everyone wants to
nice.
go to Japan or Korea. How about you, Alex?
I think it's been a bit too long. I can't really think of the first place that I want to go. I mean,
Everywhere.
I want to go everywhere. You know, like
Yeah.
anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, but of course, yeah, I would like to go anywhere.
How about the first flight?
Ooh.
first
First
flight?
flight.
Well, maybe I would say maybe China in the sense that I mean just to look
Ooh.
for some relatives and friends.
Yep, yep.
and-
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
First
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
I want to go China too.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
China has a big musical influence on yourself as well.
Yeah, kind of. Yes, I was there for 4 years, living and working there. Yeah.
So it has definitely affected the way you produce music.
Yeah, kind of actually changed my, I would say, personality as well.
Oh, okay.
And I'm surprised with their musical tastes. You know, like every city they have their kind of different taste.
Oh,
yeah.
Like Shanghai will be more like they like jazz a lot.
Oh.
You know,
Mm.
yeah, surprisingly.
Surprising.
So,
You like
so
jazz?
yeah, you never expected, you know, like and then well in Beijing, you know, it's like more the indie, you know, the, all the
Oh
rock,
yeah, yeah,
Indie,
yeah.
Right,
let's
right.
go.
underground
They
rock,
have
you know,
some
stuff like that.
nice-
So that's pretty much you know, like them. So every city have their own, you know, like different taste.
So I was thinking, right, is there like a big difference between like scoring for commercials and scoring for films?
Yes, I mean definitely. For commercials, most of the time it's very short, meaning
Mhm.
you're talking about what 90 seconds. I mean, that's kind of the norm. I mean nowadays there are more like kind of short films commercials
yeah.
whereby it goes to like 4 minutes or something. Yeah, so but the way to example, I mean we go to short ones. Let's say you have 90 seconds. So if 90 seconds you got to basically tell the story from beginning to the end. Like, you know, like chop, you know, like just go
Yeah, straight to the
direct
point.
straight to
Yep.
the point, you know, start middle and end.
Mm.
You know? But if you're doing a film, let's say, well, even if it's a short film, you know, you anyway between 10 to 15 minutes, you know, you can kind of gradually, you know, like develop the music,
yeah.
you know, slowly, and then kind of lead the audience in like a journey, you know. I mean, both are still journey. One gets you faster, the other one,
Yeah,
you know,
true.
slow.
The
So
other
it's
one's more of
like
a
that.
slower build up to
Correct.
the eventuality.
But would you say one is more challenging than the other?
Yes, the shorter one definitely. You know,
Mm.
like
What?
yeah,
I didn't
yes,
expect that
commercials
answer.
are
yeah,
actually
because
a
you
lot more.
you kind of have to get the whole story out in 90 seconds.
Yes.
Wow.
What about like time crunch? As in, like, do the directors or whoever, do they pressure you more in a commercial as compared to a
Yes,
film?
definitely.
They do?
Yeah, because I mean the turnaround rate, of course, for the project definitely is shorter for the
Mhm,
commercials.
mhm.
You know, so let's say, I mean, in China they do things pretty fast. I think yeah. So meaning like within 24 hours from the time they
What?
discuss with you, they would
Oh
like to hear
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
24
man.
hours?
Yes, yeah, which is the
Is
next
that
day.
no sleep?
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. So, but this is how they work. It's just their
Culture.
Yeah, okay.
cultural. I mean, they kind of work like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but here, well, you have maybe a little bit more time, and that is probably another 24 hours. Or you know, if normally you have more time over here.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah. With China, everything comes like very fast. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, would you say that getting, I wouldn't say personal orchestra, maybe like an orchestra for Singapore. Would you say that's your definition of success? You finally made it. Like, oh yes, finally I can do the things that I want to do with the orchestra.
Yeah, but then you have to what? You're saying creating an orchestra.
Yeah, I guess starting your own,
specifically to
maybe
that.
like yeah.
Then you have to
Yeah.
manage the orchestra. You see, it comes back to that.
Yeah, it's
The
not
managing
that
part
easy.
is the hardest part.
managing part is that I mean, you
Yeah.
as a one person, you can't do everything
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
yourself. You
definitely.
know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you need other people that kind of goes along with the vision, or you know,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
you pay
yeah.
them enough to go along with the vision. You know, so
So then again, it really comes down to the monetary value again.
yeah.
How much are you willing to help me make the best soundtrack you've ever heard in your
Yeah,
life?
so they will tell you the monetary value.
Yeah. So our budget is actually this much. Would you still want to help us?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's a lot of logistics and
Mm,
planning,
yeah.
you know. So it's a little different ball game altogether. If
Yeah.
you're creating an orchestra,
Orchestra.
yeah, I mean you need to feed them. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
they,
true. Yeah.
they themselves, I mean, also need to survive
Mhm, mhm.
in our high, living expenses country.
Yep, I understand it very well.
Have you met people here that have like the same mindset as you? No, or are you the
What?
only?
One or two, yes. I met people, yes, over
One
here.
or two?
Yes,
That's
yeah.
actually quite little.
yeah,
Quite
yeah.
whole
little,
of the whole of
that's
Singapore.
Yeah, we have kind of a similar vision whereby we want to get the orchestra to just to do more scoring work. I don't really want to put it to film because there's games as well. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of usage. And orchestra, I mean Hans Zimmer. If you go on YouTube, that guy, he's one of the few one of the people that pushes for orchestra
Yeah,
scoring
yeah.
because to him, I mean orchestra is just another word for technology. In the Renaissance time, like
Mhm,
300
mhm.
ago, but that is the technology at the time, and it still exists till now.
Today.
It's like the best thing you're gonna get. There's nothing else you can get that's gonna be better than a live orchestra, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
correct. Yeah, I mean, then of course, now it's a combination of just using, the organic, which is the orchestra, and then the synthetic, which is all the samples, and kind
Yeah.
of
Mix
it
match
around.
them together. Yeah.
Mhm.
So then, how would you know that you've made it as a film composer? I guess maybe you get into some high budget film, right? I suppose.
I mean, kind of, but I would say that it's just okay. I don't really see because the way if you notice other film composers as well, you find that there's no retirement age.
Yeah, you
for
don't stop,
them.
right? You just keep
We
going.
just keep on doing until the day we drop. So unfortunately, we don't really fit even into like Singapore's
the retirement
yeah,
pool.
the
Mhm.
retirement plan, or there's no retirement. I can foresee myself like hopefully like John Williams, like 80ish, I can still
Still composing. and
compose. In my brain is still
Mm.
by the time I hope so.
Well, if
So
you think about it, all of the composers are actually aging.
Mhm.
I won't say old, but aging composers.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
famous
agree.
ones are like 60.
Yeah,
to
John Williams like 89, I
70.
think.
Yeah, but if you compare, I mean, even in musical, like all the classical composers, basically they just write music till the day they die, man.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's
Yeah.
what they live to do, right? They live
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
just write music.
So it's kind of like, yeah, I know like how I'm gonna end. Hopefully it's like Bernard Herrmann. So he
Mm.
conducted his final score. I mean his movie score. He went back to the hotel room. I think that night he had a heart attack and died.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
At least
A bit grimmer, but
Yeah.
I think that about wraps it up. I think we've answered as many questions as we can. Some
Yeah.
more controversial stuff also. Hopefully it doesn't
Yeah.
get flagged up or anything. So thanks again, Alex, for coming by
Thank
to
you
answer.
so
these
Thank you
much.
questions.
everyone. Thanks.
Hope you had a wonderful time here.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot to my friends as well. You've made this podcast extremely fun with all the various questions that we asked. And hopefully, we've learned more things along the way, and hopefully, one of us here maybe future composer. Anyone?
and no.
Okay.
Amen.
So thanks so much for watching the video, guys. I guess if you like, I can't say like and subscribe because it's unlisted. But yeah, so I guess we'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Bye bye.